How's everybody today? I got a haircut. Anyways, I hope everybody had a good day. This was I got a little announcement up there on the old screen. To give it a look. See. Yeah, basically it's the same thing I always say every time. You got a one-page comic suggestion? But my perplexing dilemma, my question of the day is: what are you keeping it a secret in case you can use it to barter your way to prosperity? Yeah, that doesn't sound crazy. Okay, today's page is kitties. More kitties. I've done a fair amount of cats lately. So why not? This my niece Caitlin asked for this one, and this is cats doing karate while on suicide saws. That was today's suggestion. So that's what we did. And I had a lot of fun with it. Now, the only thing I would have done differently is that I would have put all kinds of, kind of sounds in the background. So I just didn't get to that. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Hey, ho, let's go. Gabba, we said, one of us. Yeah, Ramones, one of my favorite bands when I was a teenager. Preteen, let's go that far. Yeah, 13-year-old little punk rock tough guy, Chris. I wasn't a tough guy, never was. Punk rock kid listening to the Ramones because hardcore, the most domestic punk rock band until Blink 182 or whatever the hell their number is. 182, 52. What's their name? Who cares? Nowadays it's stylish to have tattoos and carry on. Yeah, so been a busy day. I got this out late because I went and got my haircut, and so now I'm respectable. I posted my first short yesterday of me reading the pages, and I'm going to do more of these. My wife and I had talked about it, and we had discussed whether or not I should start each of these streams with just the screen and to read the page, and then but I'd also we'd also discussed about shorts, and I think I talked to Jim about doing YouTube shorts, and I know I talked to Dee Dee in the past about that. So I did a little bit of editing of the original page, taking the text off it, which I still have the capability to do, and broke it down into panels, and then did the voiceover work for that. So what I've decided now since is that the one thing that really annoys me about it is the clicking sound. And now that I've said it, that's all you're going to hear. You can hear me clicking as I'm switching between things, and then ding ding, dings off in my head last night. There's no clicking sound if I just use my pen and on the screen. So, okay, we've got to figure it out. I think it was Rachel yesterday that said to make sure you put the litter box in there at the end. So there you go. Happy, Rachel. I think my favorite part of this page is just the absolute chaos of drawing cats. Jim says, I like that idea, but maybe in the middle of the show, have story time with Christopher. You see, again, I'm completely fine with that. I've got something to show you. Here's an exciting little thing. Story time. And now it's time for one-page comic extravaganza story time. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that in the middle of the show. I'm completely fine with that too. You got to have fun, folks. If you're not having fun, if you're not trying new things, I don't know what to tell you. Jim says life will change if you get into video editing. I have tried to get into video editing a couple of times now since I started doing these things. And the reason I do lives is because I no idea how to edit. I've even looked at the tutorials and I am we have to recognize capability challenges for ourselves, right? And for me, I have a capability challenge when it comes to editing. I think that at some point, I got to get somebody to hold my hand and walk me through it. It's the only way I'm going to get through those woods. And I know Jim says it's really easy. I know Jim makes it look easy. Just like I make it look like drawing a litter box is easy. The rest of it's hard as hell. Okay. I said the H word. So, yeah, so this page was fun. I did it with English fob accents for the I dare say this hot sauce is yum, right? And then the other ones are, I didn't want to write oi because oi actually is not a very nice term. So I wrote hoi, son, right? Instead of oi. So this is another fun page. And I really, the title is always the thing. If I can figure out a fun title, and it can be at the end of the whole process where I finally figured out what the title should be, or at the start. And today it was, or well, not today, but last night it was hot sauce cat fight. Just sort of jumped up. The sound effects, twack, zonk, and kerpow were suggested in yesterday's stream. I wrote them down, and those are the exact sound effects that I've used. Twack, zonk, and kerpow, which might be my favorite sound effects that I've ever put down. Zonk, twack. These are great. These are great sound effects. So this was a lot of fun. A little bit of photo manipulation, a little bit of texture manipulation. Good fun in the summertime. So that's for Caitlin. If she watches this or not, there's your first page done, Caitlin. She's got ideas. Okay, so I'm going to check it off in the book, and then show you something really crazy. So it's Friday. Friday's exciting. Friday is good. Friday gets us the weekend, yeah? This has been a good week, productive week. So this is the page posted Monday. It's the music page. I have had more likes on this page than anything else of late. And I think it's because of all of the Radiohead, Tom Waits, Sato Kano, that's who the lady is in the bottom center panel, Ramones, whatever it is, any of those people that are fans of those musicians, I think it's hit far more pages out there because I've listed those performers. So, and then I had a radio there, Tom York. So this page went really well. And then I've got one more of these coming up, which is about writers. And it's got David Mamet and Kurt Vonnegut and a bunch of people that I enjoy their writing. So I'll be posting that maybe this weekend. Then comes the World of Kremlin. Joshua Campbell actually posted this, I think it was last night, on his page. On his YouTube page while he was streaming and playing 3 games of Risk, coincidentally. It's so fun. It's so fun that he introduced his Risk game by a comic about him playing Risk and the world set in his Risk game. I'm trying to keep up here. What do we? Life will change. Oh yeah, okay. This artwork is astonishingly outstanding. Oh, well, thanks, Jim. That's very nice of you, sir. I want to work on a page with you, Jim. I got a suggestion, and because of this suggestion, I think we need to work on it together. Do you want me to talk to you privately about it, or I can tell you about it here? It's up to you. But I think I wouldn't mind working on a page together. Okay, Wednesday's page is a page that I had to draw with my left hand because Jim's mean to me sometimes. He said a really nice thing. He's not mean to me. But this was a nice challenge. I drew it with my left hand, and I even did all of the computer manipulation stuff with my left hand, and my left hand hurt the next day. My arm was actually sore the following day from exerting muscles that I, don't normally do. But I think the page turned out well. This is the next page that I've already got all set up and all queued up for the next story time. The next story time page that I'll be doing a short of. It took me 2 tries to get that short under 3 tries. I'm sorry, to get that short under 1 minute, but we did it. We did it. Okay, and yesterday's page was Belarus. So this is our first short, and this was a lot of fun to do. So I think I'll be doing another new short of the Jerry Seinfeld page because I've got all that prepped to be a short. So I think I'll just get that one recorded as well. And then today's page is the Hot Sauce Cat Fight. Hot Sauce Cat Fight! So this is a lot of fun. It's a really cool suggestion. And I tried to make it emulate, these sort of kung fu karate, whatever it is, the sort of Chinese martial arts. Police been on his own and a whole bunch of bad guys, right? One of those things. So this was good fun, and I think that I think I'm going to read. I'll read this page for you in half an hour. So this is Josh's latest thing on his channel. So stick around, hit that like button, and subscribe to find out when the next video is going to be. I'm not good at that at all. He's far better at that. Okay, so that's this page here. And good fun in the sun. But yeah, we'll be doing story time in about a half an hour, I think. Where are we at? Let's get on to business here. Today's episode is brought to you by Bob's House of Fish. We stay open late for the halibut. Located in beautiful downtown London at 201 Dundas. Come on in and reel yourself a great old bite. Bob's House of Fish. And we're also brought to you by Fake Explosion, Fake Bands, Real Music. You think you know music? You don't know nothing. Featuring their latest album that everybody is trying to get. Jose Cabrera's Constipation. Come on out and check it out, folks. All right, there's our sponsors, and let's get on with our doodly-doo today. Okay, so I got the book out. I've got the book out. You know what that means, kids. All right. So we did the 2 Victorian people. That was Wednesday. The Dinosaurs versus Denny Bots and More in Gary Style is another suggestion from Jim that we're going to get to. Offering to the Hamburger Gods is from Malcolm. This is the cats doing karate while on suicide sauce. That's what Caitlin suggested. So that's done. I think I said I had to do a 3-word prompt one today. We've got some more. Jim and Gary, top 5 comic. That's a suggestion from Corey. And Christopher versus the Evil Christopher is a suggestion from Chris Reimer. And then there's the Corey Zabal and Rube Goldberg machine. That's going to be an elaborate page. My voice is scratchy today because we think I had an allergic reaction at lunch. We bought new wraps, and I was having a wrap and started choking. So Lori just comes over. She just whack hits me on the back, and I'm like that, just like in a Hollywood movie. That didn't happen. There's some other suggestions. There's a really great one from the Kremlinator that I want to talk with somebody about. And then there's some other fun things like scientists will discover the gnome genome. It just sounds great. That just sounds like such a fun idea. Today's musical selection is, hold on, Tom Waits. Check him out. If you've not listened to Tom Waits, oh, you might be surprised how much you like it. Early shoe try on. Okay, so we've got, this is all done, I think, except for mouse holing, which is a World War II one. 7 characters in a pit of fear, which is fun. And then the day the dishes washed me, and some more sloth ones. So we'll look at those. But I think I should probably do. We've got the rat, oyster, screaming, and toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. That's 6 prompts, all starting with the letter T. So, because Afro-sensible Sista thought maybe I should just do all 6. So, yeah, initially I got the first 3, and then she added the second 3. So, thank you for that, Sista. I think we'll give that a try. Rat, oyster, and Edvard Munch screaming is the other. And then there's newspaper editor choosing the lead story. I like that one, that idea a lot. But today I want to draw in negative. Today I want to draw opposite, right? So I think that might be where I'm going to go with stuff. Now, yeah, so here's the question. Do I do a prompt one or do I do a suggestion one? If anybody has any insights on that. Hey, Riri. How are you? I'm easy either way, but I think that we'll get this out of the way. And then I think Malcolm's offering to the hamburger gods is a one I'm actually looking forward to doing something fun with that. I'm not entirely sure what yet, but I think that we're going to load that one up. All right, so we got 6 prompts today. Closing the book. Oh, I didn't show you this. There's the original page for today's comic, and I'm going to give that to Kate. So, a lot of cats. It's a lot of cats on that page. All right, so onto the pile for now. Okay, so toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. All right, I have no idea what to do with this. I just know that I'm drawing backwards. I tend to do this a fair amount, when it comes to just drawing opposite. I like it. It works for me. It's a little, I don't know. Some people think it's, that's really interesting. It's not. It's just the same way your brain works in other ways. Like in however you're drawing, when you're drawing and you're making black lines and you're defining the contour and all those different things with these lines, you have an association in your head from the object that you're trying to replicate or the thing that you're trying to emulate, capture in some way, and the way that your hand is making mark on paper. And the only difference between drawing with black lines or drawing the lit up surfaces, the white lines or the white shapes, it's just a different approach to it. It's just kind of using slightly different part of your brain there. So, okay, so I'm going to, I don't know. I'm just looking at pictures right now. All right, so I've just, I took a photo of myself at a public washroom because it had those black tiles. And when you look at yourself in a black tile, it just gives this crazy cast light on it. And so that's the sort of thing that inspired me to do this page. So let's get crack-a-lackin' and have some fun. Yeah, you'll do. All right, here we go. Okay, so like I said earlier, when I'm going to do this is a hard, sort of medium thickness cardstock, and it's a dark charcoal gray. There's a number of different values to it. I can go straight on to a black one or onto a color piece, but I just grabbed paper. So this is what I've got to work with right now. So, I got to move that. Sorry about that. So hopefully this isn't going to be flashed out the whole time. So what I'll do is it'll start and I'll work up from light to dark. And I'm just looking at values and trying to put those in. And then I'm going to build those up as I go. So I'm not overly concerned about. Some people, when they'll work and they'll do their drawing, every value that they put down, it's the right opacity and it's the right, level of complexity that they need it to be for. I've made this mark once and I move forward, right? I'm not that way. I tend to like the idea of building it up, finding it within the subject and building it up from that. So that's how it works for me. And but that's the whole thing about process is that we've all got a different one, right? Okay, so it's showing up pretty well on the camera, I think. I think that the shorts idea for those of you that have been encouraging me to do those, thanks very much. They're fun. It's just a little labor intensive because it's only in a portrait format or a square format that you can do them in. And my pages are landscape. If I switch back to portrait, I got it easier because I can just put the whole page up in one go and just overdub a reading on top of that. But I don't think that'll hold people's attention. So forcing myself to have to put up each individual panel and then having to read that up from there, maybe that's forcing me to explore my investiture into that. And Jim's suggestion about once I figure out editing, it's going to change my game, really. I completely appreciate that. I just am having a hard time figuring out editing. So we'll get there. Because, all things in moderation, right? All things in time. Okay, so I'm putting in the face and I'm building it up, taking an account for a high contrast overhead light, right? And so I'm thinking about the areas that are left in shadow, not putting those in at all. And then the spaces that I am putting in is with the same value of a soft white. And as I get, further on here, I'm going to build up some of these light areas with their more opaque mark making tools, because this is a full lead white pencil with a lacquer, seal around it. And they're really fun because you can get nice sidelines and everything else, but they're not a very strong pencil. They're very waxy. They don't put down a lot of strong and solid marks. And so that's what I want and that's what I need. And it's not going to happen here. So now I could use a better pencil crayon to do this process. But this is the one that my hand picked up first. So we'll get there. We'll get there. We're all in this together. Looking for an eraser. I made a boo-boo. Curious to see what everybody else is doing. The offer still stands. If you've got a one-page comic idea, feel free to let me know what it is. Feel free to shout it out. I'm always looking for new challenges of things to draw. This has been a somewhat challenging week with A really fun suggestion from one friend here is that drop with your wrong hand. You know what? I should have seen it coming because I was asked which hand do you predominantly use. And the moment that I said the right hand, I was like, I knew he was going to say, do it with the other one. Yep. Ha ha. But that was a good challenge. It's a fun challenge. I hope that people try it because it sort of, I think it made me think about some stuff. I think it made me look at some of the ways that I make marks and some of the ways that I see the images as I'm working on them and drawing them. And, okay, so our intention with this page is for it to be ominous. And, okay, so here we are with a regular old Prismacolor-esque. I don't know what brand it is. Never been a big concern for me. But makes a nicer white line. So we're going to hit some of these little emphases. Emphases. Boy, words are hard. All right. So this is 6 prompts today. This is me trying to do a single page comic with 6 prompts. And this is going to be interesting. As usual, I appreciate all the suggestions coming in. I appreciate the nice words. Jim said some nice words today. It was very nice. It's been a lot of, I don't look at my numbers for, my growth. I put the Patreon up on things because that's what the things say. Put the Patreon up on all the things. Put your Patreon links on all of that. So I do it because I'm really remedial. And when something suggests you should do it this way, I'll do it that way. But my Patreon hasn't changed at all, and neither do I expect it to. I don't count numbers, and I don't count. Some people are all about the money and the intake and the cash for those. My interest has always been meeting people in conversations and engaging with one another and pursuing that creative journey together. The other stuff's going to come as it comes. And Lori and I are going to sit down this weekend and look at the first 100 one-page suggestions that are now done since January. And we're going to pick which ones we're going to do. We're going to put in the next book. Right? And I don't know how many pages it's going to be. It's whichever one she chooses, right? Because we got 111 pages to choose from for the first 100 one-page comic suggestions. So we might leave out the ones that are 2 pages. There's a 4-page, and then there's 3 2-pages, a 4-page, a 6-page, and a 3-page. I think it is. I can't remember. Oh, a 6 and a 5. That's what it is. Hey, Paul Pate. Hey, everybody. It's Mr. Paul Pate. Paul says it's like spinning 6 plates at once. I'm not sure what that is, but maybe. Yep. Okay, what I was talking about. I'm sorry I missed that when I was blathering on and you wrote that down. So I'm just building up a face on this gray cardstock to come out of the darkness. This is our narrator, and this is him explaining to us the terrible situation that's going to present itself that involves toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. I'll just give you a moment, everybody that's here. Take a look at that. Say it out loud to yourselves. Don't giggle. No giggling. Okay? Toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. Paul says, it's okay. Nobody ever knows what I'm talking about, including me. Paul, everybody wants to know what you're talking about. We all want to understand. Right? We all want to know what's happening. Is Timmy in the well? Smack your hoof on the ground 3 times if that's the case. Thanks for coming and hanging out, Paul. Somebody's playing hockey. All right. So, yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a busy week. My voice is a little scratchy today because I had a little moment there just before starting today's stream when having lunch. We're all going to get through it together. I think people know what you're talking about, Paul. I think they're just unnerved about what you're talking about. Work is unbearable. Have you tried it with a clown nose on? It's just a question. The trick is if you're making faces at people off camera or whatever, if you're in Zoom calls, or if you're, when you're in a session with somebody and they're talking and you're sitting in your chair and you're always going, they can hear those sounds. But so don't do those things. But you can respond with puppets. What you do is you get a puppet and you hold it below the camera level. You don't hold it, where are we? There we go. Hey, everybody. Well, I think we should reevaluate the next quarter. Do it for yourself. Just hold it below the camera level and wiggle your little finger as you're talking. And they don't know that you know him. They don't know that you're talking through a puppet. They have no idea. I'm doing that right now with my other hand. If it's really bad, Paul, and they're not being very nice, I will come there and I will tell them to stop it. And you stop it. That's what I'll say. And I'll put my hands on my sides. Hey, the way up here, they're in a really awkward place. Hey, you guys. If that doesn't make them second guess themselves, I don't know what to do here. Okay, so I'm building up these little pokes of white and starting to define our character a little bit more. I'll tamp out, when I put down a mark, I like a sure, and I tap it with my finger, it diminishes the opacity of that mark. See how when I leave it here, it sticks up, but right there where I tapped it, it pushes it back down. So, professional tips from Runciman. I'll probably get a promotion. Spend the entire day talking like a game show host. You'll do well. Could I get those numbers from last quarter? I've got no problem getting those numbers to you at all. Or they may give you some paid time off. Don't do my suggestions. I've always the worst suggestions. All right, so I still haven't. It's just white that I'm working from at this point. I'm not going to pull any black contrast into the image until I have a really solid feeling of the tonality with just the white. So because that way I sort of have a better understanding of the image as it's coming together. And then you can see those little places where you're like little punch there, little punch there. But be sparing if it's the same as it sort of works in the same way as you don't want to do an awful lot of highlight contrast with white when you're doing a traditionally drawn image on a white piece of paper. If you can hold off on those, bring them in sparingly where they're needed, the punch will be more solid for whatever the effect you're trying to go for. All right, so we had some fun questions for yesterday's stream. One of which is a bit morose and dark of what song would you like to have played at your celebration of life. I realize that's a little dark. In typical Runciman logic, I don't think I had a single meaningful selection. I think that the songs that I would choose would just have everybody sitting there at the church or wherever it is and going, why this song? What does this mean? I don't know. It was weird, man. All right, so we're bringing up, I'll pull this up a little bit. So we're bringing up the light now. We're bringing up those lit up areas. So Paul says, the fact that you're drawing in reverse and it is looking just as good as when you draw dark on light is a testament to your, oh, thanks, Paul. Testament to your technique and abilities. That's very nice of you. I think that it's, yeah, thanks very much, sir. I think that anytime that we're working, it's sort of important that we look at it as, if you look at things, when you're trying different techniques and when you're trying different approaches to stuff, if you look at it as though it's somehow different, instead of realizing it's coming from the same place, right? And because it's coming from the same place, you don't have to worry about, well, what if, just go for it. Just try it. And, maybe you do it a couple of times and it turns out more and more the way that you wanted it to be in the first place. But it's never going to happen unless you start doing it. And that's sort of my headspace on most things with drawing. I think that I have nothing wrong with people that they draw one way and they work on only that one way on all things. As they, if they do different media or whatever it is, or if they paint the same way they draw, whatever it is, I don't care. There's nothing wrong with that. It's completely legitimate. It's very clearly coming from your same voice. And if there's a similarity between one medium to another, again, it's all coming from the same person. But I think the more and more that you try to push and explore new avenues, I think that the reward for yourself out of that is figuring out how to draw in reverse, figuring out how to draw, different medium, right? It's interesting to me, like, Dee pulls out pan pastels. It's a very different technique. And yet, here she goes. And she does well by him. But that's because she took that shot and allowed herself the mistakes. You got to make the mistakes. Let's see. We got a question of the day, folks. Prepare yourselves. You ready? Jim Luan says, excuse me again. Do you have any phobias? Random question of the day, number 681. Do you have any phobias? People, feel free to put out your phobias. Let's expose ourselves here. Slow down, Paul. Paul's already got one out. I am irrationally afraid of random questions, is Paul's response to question of the day 681. I am irrationally afraid of random questions. I look forward to hearing any other phobias that anyone might have. Feel free to share those. This is a safe place. It's okay. Nobody's going to judge you here for your weird hang-ups. He says, while not having given away one of his own. Well, I used to be afraid of haircuts until this morning. I get practically bald now. Okay. Okay. Malcolm's he's afraid of heights, but not flying. Malcolm, you can fly? What is the name that Didi has for you, Malcolm? Do you remember what that is? What does she call you? something about salty snacks, and her favorite salty snacks, what she calls you every time. Okay, so here's our narrator. Let's get this ear in here, and then we're going to move on to our next moment. Chex-Mix. Oh, okay, yeah. Chex-Mix. I think it's Chex-Mix. Yeah, it's a fun one. So yeah, anybody else that has a phobia, or anybody else that has a what is it? Any phobias? Come on, tell us. Malcolm. Half of Canada is all up on the marijuana now because of the law changes. You got to figure somebody in another country is, since Canada's moved to just like marijuana is legal in this country, you got to figure somebody internationally is just thinking we're up. Everybody in that country is on drugs. Paul is afraid of work. I got one. Do you want to hear my phobia? My phobia is I'm afraid of finishing. That's it. That's mine. That's so dumb. Some say I'm afraid of commitment. Oh, deep dive. I think everybody's afraid of committing on some level. If you don't have reservations about commitment, it means you're not thinking enough about the situation at hand. We should all have some reservations and have some common sense in those situations. Okay, so you can see as you put, you build the white up on top of itself and it gets darker. But then there's also other mark making tools like Posca paint pens, or paint markers, whatever you call these. Posca White Pencil Company. Hold on. Yeah, it doesn't say. It's just a Posca. That's where this is. This hits very differently. So just you can see how the white just bumps off of there. Just the one little dot of white in the eye makes it really, really show up. So I would suggest using something like this specifically on those absolute highlights that you want to put down. There's real high contrast, right? Okay. That drawing is starting to look like Ethan Hawke. There we go. Jim says, I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. Bowie drop in there. Look at that guy. All right, so I'm going to throw down some black pencil crayon in these, like I said, these little spots where I really want to push that contrast. All right. And this is the part where I was mentioning earlier, I want to be sparing in how I go about this, because if you just start lining out the whole page, what's the whole point of you drawing reverse in the first place? I've got a drawing in the house here that I'll have to show you. So I'll have to wheel our camera around sometime because it's on the opposite side of the studio. But it's 5 feet by 4, and I drew it the same way as I'm drawing this, and it's an entire Parisian street from the perspective of sitting in a cafe, and it's the same process. It's just larger, right? And but there's just so much that you can get out of. There's so much that you can get out of this sort of approach that scale just means takes a little longer. It's a little bit bigger. It's really just as simple as that. You don't really have to change anything about how you're going about making marks and so forth. All right, that's coming together. Ethan Hawke is an actor that just keeps taking on creepier and creepier roles. It's like he's found that, this is his niche, and I don't like it. He always came off as such an interesting enough actor, but now his roles are more and more very dark characters. Very tortured characters, I guess, more appropriate. So these things that you take into consideration, these places that you leave spaces for those dark areas, this is your now your opportunity to fill those in. And yet I still suggest you do so, in a measured way. Don't just and come at them again. I build them up. Allow yourself that time, that chance for it to grow. Those lines to grow up out of the shadow, out of this neutral middle. But you're thinking high contrast. Sorry about my voice. I don't know if it was an allergic reaction to something at lunch, but yeah, I did not enjoy that experience. And it's, I'm pretty sure what it was a wrap. There's some wraps that you have to refrigerate, and this was one of them. And, I don't like, my body said, no, Christopher, we don't like that. Get that out of here. So, all right. So then the other question to ask yourself is, how much of the image are you drawing in? Like, you're only drawing parts of it in, right? What am I missing? There's Kat. Hi, Kat. Oh, that's very nice of you. Kat says, impressive reverse value drawing. Well, that's not how she says it, but I Cecily. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's very nice. It's this package of cardstock that I picked up, and I picked it up from a place here in London called Staples, and I like that it's a decent enough store for picking up our printer ink. I just, it's not really a store that has an awful lot of materials and stuff in there, but they've got a general, here's your basic office, what else. And but you go around to where their paper is, project paper, and I found this package of cardstock that had a whole spread of different gradations, like different gray values. And so that's why you can see the different opportunities that we have here for drawing on. And I've drawn on a lighter gray before for one of the one-page comics, but this one is a darker, a more charcoal colored gray. So hopefully when it scans, it's not going to be muted out. Hopefully when it scans, it picks up the little bits, the little sort of nuances of different marks and values that you put in, right? Hopefully. That's our hope. Today's musical listening has been Mr. Tom Waits. I'm listening to his anthology, the extended one, so it's got pretty much a lot of his early work. If you haven't listened to much Tom Waits, actually you'd be surprised if you haven't, because a lot of people have covered Tom Waits songs, like Old 55 or Old 55. That's Old 55 has been covered by the Eagles. It's been covered by Sarah McLachlan. Like, there's just certain songs that you don't even recognize that when you hear them by these other performers, that there's just any possibility it could have been written by, a scraggy voiced piano player guy, so. So what I was talking about with the decisions about when you're thinking, as you're going through your composition and you're adding in these different values, ask yourself, do you want to draw the whole image in, right? I'm missing some things. I'm sorry. Kat says Staples is great. They'll price match Amazon. I didn't know that. That's cool. Paul says I should be like the Beatles and get back. That's a good reference, sir. Appreciate that. Hey, it's Philip Chandler. How you doing, Philip? This reminds me of old life drawing classes years ago, using a mid-range paper color and then drawing highlights and shadows. Oh, nice. Yeah. It's one of those things where you gotta try it. You gotta give it a go. Give yourself the opportunity to give it a shot, right? There's so much that we can learn from doing this. Stop by tomorrow morning for Saturday morning cartoons if you think of it. Oh, I will for sure, Paul. Thanks for the invitation. Everybody, Paul's going to be doing his Saturday morning cartoons tomorrow on his YouTube channel. If anybody here is interested, wants to stop by and visit him there. And let's see, what else has happened this week? Philip did his art block show with Enrique, so that's on Philip's channel. Jim did a "Hey man, how's your movie going?" on his channel, so go and check that out. Dee Dee's, of course, had her Monday and Wednesday. Has anybody else had any YouTube posts this week that they want to talk about? Or any posts or anything that you've shared this week? Is there anybody that has anything that they're like, hey, you got to look at this? Look what I can do. For those that follow my YouTube channel and are part of the community situation that's up there, I posted the shorts there, and I posted it as a video. So the short that I posted is the first reading of a one page that I've done, and I'll be doing a whole bunch of them, I think, because they're fun. But the first one I did was Bella Rocks. So this Bella Rocks was our first. Whoops. This was our first one that we did was Bella Rocks, and that is part of our one-page comic extravaganza story time. Hi, Philip. Hi, Kat. Bye, Philip. Bye, Kat. Hi, bye, Paul. Just let it be when it comes to work. Oh, my goodness. It's not like they're forcing them to work at the end of a revolver. Okay, that one was a stretch. Just trying to help. Okay, so we're getting our guy in there. The next question to ask yourself is, how big is the volume of this first panel? How much do we really need to finish? How much of it is going to be needed for the page and the story before we have to go through the whole thing? We're not drawing this whole finished composition. We're trying to get some of these elements in for the first panel of our page. And I think that rather than overly focusing too much on the entirety of, head, neck, shoulders, and trying to get all of those elements in, I'm just going to really focus here on his face. So, but if you have an opportunity, There's two ways you can do this. You can either, if you don't have any black paper, if you don't have any gray paper, and if accommodating those things is a challenge, there's a couple of different ways that you can go about. If you've got surface making, mark making tools, even if you've got pencil or pen or whatever it is, if you go ahead and take, it doesn't have to be gigantic things, right? But if you cover a small area and pen cross hatching, and then try to draw on top of that with a white, right? With a white paint or a white whatever it is, pencil crayon, and it sort of challenges you in a couple of different ways, because you've got to be able to see, it's just you're learning a new technique or you're trying a different thing out, but you've already got rid of the preciousness of the paper. I don't want to make a mark on it. Oh, you've already done that. You made a whole pile of messy marks with your pen. And the nice fun part of that is that as you're drawing, if there are things that you're dissatisfied with, you take that pen and put it back into the image, right? Work it back in. I mentioned this earlier, and I recognize that the book is surprisingly expensive, but there's a Vanguard Publishing put out a book. Give me a sec. Hold on. Almost there. Do I have it here? I should have it here. Maybe I don't. Okay. The Vanguard Publishing put out a book called The Watch Annual. Here it is. It's this one. And it has all kinds of technique notes in there for working with different materials and different medium inside of here. And there's so many little things for you to try and apply with some of the most basic materials, and how you can, stretch perspective, exaggerate the human form or whatever it is that you're drawing. Another thing I showed recently, pulled my headphones, and I think I posted these and put them on my Patreon. These are different pages that I did that have all kinds of different ways that you can, with just the most basic of tools, get a good range of diversity drawing the same object. So this is just me drawing an eye, but there's, white pencil crayon with acrylic paint. There's white pencil crayon with white ink. There's white ink pen cross hatching. All those, just try everything, right? And just keep going, and then start to exaggerate the form and try to start different tools and different approaches and pastels and chalk and crayon, and put some tape under there, put some textured papers under there, try everything, stamp it, and then draw on top of that. And then again, even taking it further with, piece of canvas here and zip-a-tones, right? Different gray tones, and pen stripe marks down first. What is that? Medical tape and masking tape and doodah. So just explore. There's just so many different ways that we can make marks, and we can explore opportunities to tell stories. There's no right or wrong way. There's no rules. Anybody that says, I can't believe you used that or you did this, don't take advice there. That's they're limiting themselves, much less anybody else. You have to do things this specific way. Nope. Trying things a different way is how we get new things. As long as nobody's getting hurt. And be sure to ventilate your studio. Ah, cute. My niece liked the cat one. All right, so here I am putting these sort of marks and values in here, emphasizing the certain points, like his mouth as he's going to tell us, what he saw, and oh, the horror. And so we'll get, sorry again for my voice. I still got something going on with my throat from whatever that wrap that I ate that we believe I was allergic to. So disappointing too, because I was really looking forward to eating it. All right, so I'm putting in that. So here's our bottom lip, and we're making sure and you can define that bottom lip better by really focusing on the emphasis of pushing back this space, this area below your bottom lip. And the more, the more clarity that you have that defined with. That's the thing about faces, is that the human mind, we're preconditioned to try to recognize the human face and try to draw it up out of things. That's why you got people seeing faces on Mars, etc. Watched a video on that the other day. We look for other humans. We look for eyes in the dark. It's always been interesting to me. I think it says something about the fact that we look for faces automatically on a subconscious level and things. It's just wired into our brain. And because, we're a species that's pretty dominant on this here planet, doesn't have an awful lot of natural predators, if you know what I mean. And yet, the thing that we always recognize the most is the human face. What's that say about us? Hey, everybody, it's Gary Hodges. Hi, Gary. Welcome to this thing we call shoe. Boom, boom, juice. All right. So, yeah. So just a little more structure in there. And so because we've got this area underneath the lip, the shadows that I'm pulling across into the other parts of the composition in the face, I'm not overly focused on this side. I'm not overly concerned about that. I actually don't mind that it sort of washes out. I'm quite comfortable with that. All right, everybody, best behavior. Rachel's here. Hi, Rachel. So, those are the decisions that we can make along that as we're drawing our pieces, is that how much do I really want to go through and fulfill in this entire composition? And that lets us choose our marks. And if you come up and build up your marks, if you build up your working light application up to darker, it frees you up a little bit more than that. It sort of removes some of the constraint in that decision-making process. Because if I just came down really hard with the blacks, the black pencil here, it sort of locksteps me into where I can take the composition. So it's those little moments, those little decisions, those little approaches. The subtleties, right? It's always about the subtleties. Like I haven't drawn in the second eye, but by leaving a place, you're filling in the eye. The viewer fills in the eye. Like I said, human monkeys, we're always looking for the most dangerous creature. You fill in the second eye. You know there's one there because you know there's one here. Little pop of white, just the tiniest little pop of white in there. Let's the eye jump forward. So here's our narrator. He's telling this story about this terrible thing that's going to involve toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. For those that are just joining us, I suggest you take a moment, take a look at this list, and say it 3 times fast. It'll change your whole day. Toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. The rain in Spain falls gently on the plain. What do we got? Hey. She says hi to Pentless, Paul, CMP, Philip, Salty, James, and of course CR. Thank you. Hiya. Oh, she says hi, Gary. The theme today is toilets, toasters, telephones, tongue, teeth, and toenails. Okay, the question of the day, let's go back to that, is random question of the day, number 681. Do you have any phobias? Paul's phobia is that he is irrationally afraid of random questions. Salty says he is afraid of heights, but not flying. Paul is also afraid of work. Jim is also afraid of Americans. So yeah, we got some good responses coming so far. If anybody else has any phobias that they want to share, nobody promises to use those against you. Shut the lights off. She says, I have a phobia, Paul. I have a pee phobia, Paul, Philip. There you go. Philip says hi. I'm afraid of the letter. You know. There's a funny Monty Python sketch where Eric Idle can't say the letter B. Of course, he doesn't mean B, he means C, but he can't say it. So I always thought that was incredibly funny. Gary says, I'm irrationally afraid of crickets. They jump right at you. What are they doing? Oh, that's good. Rachel says, wait, Salty, are you flying under bridges? Philip doesn't like heights, including flying. If I do have to travel, I'll do it if I have to travel, but I don't like it. You haven't had anybody on the plane say, the wings go all the way through. Oh, yeah. Rachel says, Gary, of course the crickets are trying to scare you. Anybody else that's lurking around or anything else that wants to share their phobias? We promise not to tell anybody. They don't understand, Rachel, that Gary is higher on the food chain. A little respect, please, Cricket. I'm afraid of my own shadow, says Cat. Don't turn around. Philip says I'm a menace to myself and everything else in the sky. Birds too. There you go. Yeah, I think that Gary's got a sequel here for when he's done DVSM. It's I think your next book. There it is, buddy. Overcome your fear and do a comic called Monster Crickets. A shiny nickel, if you know the reference. Oh, anybody want that nickel? Is that Rocketeer? I don't know. Rocketeer. Now that was a fun film. It's a really good adaptation of Dave Schultz's comic. All right, so I've got this guy to a point. Gary's also creeped out by water he can't see through, so no wading in lakes, the ocean, etc. if the water isn't clear. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a daunting one. We were canoeing up north. This is a few years ago, and one of our kids, their canoe tipped. Two of our kids, their canoe tipped over, And so I had another one of the kids in the canoe with me. And how did we do? We had 3 canoes, Lori and one of the kids, me and one of the kids, and then 2 of the other kids together. And because we had 4 of them with us. And when they flip their canoe turns over. And so and one of the kids is in the water and really upset by it. And this is up north in Ontario here, up around the Muskoka area. And so the water's black. It's just black. You got like 6 inches of water you can see, and then it just silts right out to black. And even if it's 8-10 feet deep, it's just black because of the earth, how dark the ground is up there. And so without thinking, I just a couple big paddles on the canoe we were in, and I got right up over there, and I told the one son that was in my boat, "Have you got it?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it." And he's like steadying the boat, and I just literally stood up and pogoed into the water and came up, grabbed the one kid that was having a hard time, and started loading him up into our boat. The other child was swimming over to the shore, which is like 15 feet away. But I didn't think, and the amount of things that I lost in my pockets, but I couldn't see them when I went underwater because it's black. And at that moment, every dark sci-fi and horror story that I've ever read in my lifetime popped into my head about what could potentially be under that water, and I got out of there fast. Just all that neuroses just kicked in, Gary. And I'm like, yeah, get me out of here. A movie about a plane made up of entirely absurd lines. Oh, I wonder what that could be. Surely you'd tell me. You can tell me. I'm a doctor. All right, so I'm just going to do this last little piece, and then we're moving on. What are we at? 112. I don't know if I can do, if I'm up for doing the reading of today's page. I'm going to be posting it later on as a short. And I will post it on my YouTube here in the community area. I'll post all the shorts that I post. I'll put them in the community area so you guys get to see them. Anybody that's following that. Just choked from laughing. Sorry to pick on your roses. No, this is food poisoning or food allergy that my throat's gone from. Rachel says, when it's coming into O'Hare, after circling for half hour, 2 fly rounds, the woman beside me started to cry. "We're never going to land." The guy behind said, "Guarantee you, we are going to land." Well, the plane's going to come down at the least. Oh, that's good. Gary says, lovely work. You're making me want to fiddle with non-white paper and white pencils. Do it. It's so much fun. You could, your next project that you do after DVSM, you could do giant crickets, and you could do it in this approach, in this format. But thank you very much, Gary. That's very nice of you, that compliment. I think the more and more I think about it, it's looking like Elijah Wood. This guy looks like he could, he could throw away some jewelry into a fire, huh? This guy could go on vacation and get rid of his inherited jewelry. All right, he can hang out. He can spend a good amount of his time with his cook, going on an adventure. I'll fall up really dumb Lord of the Ring references right now. There's a fantastic film called Life is Illuminated, starring Elijah Wood, who goes to Eastern Europe trying to understand his heritage where his family is from, where his father was from, and he meets a cousin there, and the cousin is played by the lead singer of Gogol Bordello. And would you like a potato? Like it's silly and absurd and fun. But it might be my favorite Elijah Wood. You know what? That's not even true. My favorite Elijah Wood thing is that they did. Netflix has a version of Dirk Gently, Holistic Detective, on it that Elijah Wood stars in, and it's so good. LOL, I'm overly tired and a bit loopy today, in a bit of a silly mood, I think. Well, that's good. That's good, Philip. Which brings me to my phobia. I have a phobia of being overly tired and a bit loopy during the daytime. I don't know. I don't like silliness. I got nothing. That's fun. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being in a silly mood. Just be careful when you're around other people. Don't just point at things and giggle profusely and have them wondering if you're okay. All right, so last couple white marks and then on we go. So I'm just bringing in a couple little accents, and hopefully those little accents are going to pull up, this part of the face, this lower area, and you can fill in the rest of it as your eye scans across the surface of an image. You're going to fill in the areas that aren't necessarily completely put in there. Wrong pencil. Yeah, I watched. Philip, you're still here. I watched your art block with Unreal. Well, I got halfway through it so far. I'm only halfway through, but I started watching it, and yeah, buddy. I'll teach you magic if you want to learn how to play that card game. And if you don't know what I'm referring to there, you're going to have to watch Philip's stream. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and Philip says, I have to work at the Y tonight. At the YMCA. Pointing at laughing at people in the men's change room can get me in a lot of trouble. Boy, are you telling me. Well, don't do that there. Stand outside in the hallway and wait till they come out of the change room, and then you can point and giggle. It's not as bad. Wait a minute. Are you laughing at me? Okay. All right. So toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, toenails. So this is a fun page to do about phobias, right? This is a sort of thing where, because of this crazy eccentric list of items to have to fit in these suggestions, and the fact that they coincidentally and fortunately also start with the same letter, allows us to put this in a very sort of a gothic thing where it starts off with our main character saying, everybody's got their hang-ups, man. I mean, I know you do, and we can have the whole thing come across as a phobia. So it's really a wonderful suggestion that random question 681 that Jim gave us at the start of the stream today, because it works pretty well. Philip says, I work at the YMCA housekeeping staff. Yeah, so if anything, when they come out of the change room, you can do your Carol Burnett. Okay, so let's jump along into the next one. So we've got toilets, toasters, telephones, tongues, teeth, and toenails. So there's all kinds of trouble we can get into with this one. So let's do it. What shall we? All right. So let's explore this guy's phobias. I've got Takes More Than Ring by Tom Waits playing in my ear. So that just sort of immediately starts me off with, it's a good point. Good point to start from with. It sounds like circus music. Okay, so let me try one thing first, okay? Bear with me for this one. What I want to do is that I want to draw up some emotional emphasis. So we've already got this eye placed in. Now there's two ways that we can do, what does it say? Thanks, Chris. I think at this point in my life, I'm past learning magic now. You're never too old to learn magic. Yeah. Thank you, Doug Henning. All right, so what I want to do, though, because there's two ways I can do this. I can just blow it up. Just take this image and enhance it and just have its own panel there. Or I can, get crafty and put in a slightly more detailed version emphasizing this eye and have a little more fun with that. So that as he talks about his phobias, he talks about his fears, by having that first shot, if I was going to do the first panel, I would do it just as a black panel, right? Let's put this down on paper. Let's show you. And let me show you what's immediately gone through my head. And the first panel, why not just have as black? And then the first piece of text right here is something like, everybody has things they're afraid of. Because the fact that it's a black panel, and then the next shot that we go to is this image as it's pulling him out of the shadow. So if you think about that in a cinematographer's sort of a perspective, is that we've got a black scene and then a face comes into the light, right? Which is a little unnerving. So the next panel on this page is this page here where he's he's got his face going, ooh. And then if we look at the next panel, just enhancing these elements right here. So we've got the sides of his face, even if it's the same, even if it's very similar mark making, the emphasis of closing in on that eye closes in on that emotion, right? So, and then the next panel, you can immediately start looking at how do we come across with his phobias? How do we get those across? I don't drink, you can have him say, the only caffeinated beverage I drink is coffee, because coffee or cola, and it refers, or have him sort of in our text refer to the fact that we can add in another one like tea. And it's because of his phobia is the letter T, right? So toilets, toasters, telephones, tongue, teeth, toenails. We can show all of these images, these different images, as they pass through the page, panel to panel to panel. So without saying, the punchline of the page could be the other person says, and have him describe the things, but not actually say the words, right? So, the devices you talk on, yeah, I don't like those. And so at the end, you can have a second voice say, what are you afraid of the letter T? And have the last panel of them going, ah! Like, it's ridiculous, but that's part of the fun, right? Because you have this heightened emotional thing. You'll find in a lot of horror movies, in a lot of instances in horror films, is that there'll be a heightening tension, relief of tension, heightening tension, release of tension, and building it up in sort of a like a little plateau way, heightening tension, everything's, geez, I can't believe, two people walking down the hallway with flashlights and they back into each other. Oh God, okay, release of tension. I'm terrified. This is terrifying for me. And then a third face comes out of the dark and goes, me too. And they're like, ah! Right? But you're completely unprepared for that, because that heightening tension they calmed you for a moment, right? By having you thrown off by it being humorous. So when we kick up in him describing all these things and we're building up these little plateaus and get to the point where the other person says, what are you afraid of the letter T? Blah! But you know that. You knew that the whole time. It's like the Hitchcock thing. You just don't just have them saying, oh, there could be a bomb and have the bomb go off. Show them, like, establish the bomb, build up the suspense around the bomb. So that's what I'm going for with this page. And so I'm going to draw the toilet, a toaster, telephone, tongues, teeth, toenails. Right? And having fun with that. That's the whole point, right? Whatever we're doing, if we can have fun while we're at it, that makes it all the better. So as I'm drawing this zoom in shot, even though it's not really, there's no camera here. Nothing's actually zoomed in. But by pulling in a little bit more, I'm going to try to put in a little more emphasis on some of those details, a little more emphasis on some of those pieces of information that maybe weren't entirely legible because of the first shot being a little farther back. Right? Right? Okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. All right. Okay, so I want to put in some of these little pieces of detail. And I've skipped that other pencil because for whatever reason in this part of the page, it wasn't really showing very much. So that's okay. And then going over the same spot with a little more pressure, we're going to get that sharper amount of value. All right, so what are we at? What time are we at now? 1:26. Okay. I can try to read today's page if anybody wants it. Otherwise, I'll just do it as a short when my throat feels a little bit better. If anybody's like, do it, monkey boy. Sorry, phone call. Who is it? What do they want? Did anybody watch Joshua Kimball's stream from last night? It was really nice of him. He showed the page, the Kremlinator, the Kremlin, the World of Kremlin page on his stream, and where I have him as the guy who conquered the world through the game of Risk, and then he lost 3 games of Risk. Just because it was bad starts. He just kept getting bad starts. The irrational fear in his eyes are perfect. I mean, what do you mean by that? Thank you. I have a phobia of YMCA cleaners. No, my phobia is people finding out about what makes me afraid. I don't. The thing with heights, yeah, I don't like heights, which is terrible when you're, as tall as I am. You never look at the ground. But that was a zinger, folks. So I'm putting in a little more detail into his cheek here. That, this is why I didn't just blow up the other part, is that I want to show some of the surface of this, some of the skin surface here and the blemishes and imperfections and stuff. And we're zooming in. We might as well zoom in our details, right? Right? Yeah. That's right, Chris. Well, thank you, everybody, for sharing your phobias as well today. That was very trusting, everybody. Irrational. Irrational. Easy for you to say. I have a phobia of irrationality. Yeah, so this, it really is just the same, doing what I just did with the previous panel, right? Just tightening it in a little bit, that's all. But like I said before, it's because we're zoomed in, we want to have a little bit more for people to see. But we need to refer against our previous drawing for sure and think about, as we're building up this close-up, we got to make sure that it's in reference. It's very, similar to the previous panel. Yeah, I definitely can't read the page today. I'm sorry. My throat's still killing me. Because I'm a big baby. What do people think about the whole shorts of the comic page idea? Has anybody got any feedback on my nonsense? It's dumb, Chris. You need to stop it. You just need to stop it. You know what you're doing. You're going to try a few of them. They're fun. Curious, as people have been, if I post this and, those people that read those, I'm curious as to, when I read it, if it in any way resembles how they thought it should go, like how they thought that the text was to be explored, or even what sort of voices they were thinking the characters were speaking in. Like today's page that I posted of the cats, the one cat is upper class society British, and the next cat, the leader of the gang of cats, is oi son, so he's a very clearly different type of feline. It's more of a Guy Ritchie cat. A Jason Statham cat. Anybody know who Jason Statham is? He's that guy who speaks like this all the time. See, that's a guy that I imagine, at some point in his life, he's walked into a late night grocer's and said, and turned and looked over at the cashier and went, "I'm looking for your toilet paper," right? I mean, you just got to figure it's happened. Those are the moments that I want. All right, so this is coming together. So hopefully this is going to pick up on the fear in the eye as we've zoomed in now. Just a little more detail. It's going to finish around the eye. I think that might be it because my throat's really bugging me. All right. let's get this eye done, and then that'll be our stream for today. So now that I've got it all laid out for you, you can go home and draw yourselves. I'll be back. Well, I'm still here for a few more minutes, but Monday. We'll be back on Monday. And on Monday, what happens on Monday? I'm glad you asked. So there's all kinds of things that I pulled aside to use in this. I've got a white crayon. I've got a white Jelly Roll pen. And just give me 1 second, and I'll show you. 2 seconds here. Okay, so here's some of the things that we can use. So that's a grease pencil. There's your white Faber-Castell brush pen. That's that's Charlie. Everybody knows Charlie. And that's Louis, his brother. It's just standard pencil crayons. There's your Posca, and they got a cheaper. This is the same company that makes both of these. This is just clearly the cheaper version of it. Black pen. This is the white solid graphite pencil with a lacquer seal, lacquer finish around it. I pulled out a white crayon, and I pulled out Mr. Happy. Hey, everybody, it's Mr. Happy. It's a Jelly Roll pen. It's got a really happy little eraser on there. And then, of course, a couple of erasers, right? So I haven't really got into the only things I've used so far. I'm going to take out a lot of these. Oh, and that's a fountain, black fountain pen. Take out all these cats and kittens. The only things that I've used so far are these. So, again, it's just sort of a sparing application and building it up, right? What's it say? I really appreciate how you capture expression. Oh, on the paper. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Can you clap your hands, though? Yeah, now you got to give the clap in response. I'll wait. Good job, everybody. Give yourself a pat in the back. We all did that together. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I've got the starts of this next panel, pulling up some more of these details. It isn't really that much tighter or bigger as an image, but detail-wise, there's going to be more clarity to it. And because of that, it gives us a little more opportunity to put a little more oomph in that there eyeball, right? Like this line here isn't present in there, but it would show up at this layer, at this level. You know, the more definition in the eye socket itself. You know, going into the eyebrow, this is why I've left this area like that with the white already reaching in, because light is going to move through those hairs, right, in the eyebrow. So as I'm filling that in, you can start to see a little bit of definition there of that. Because as the closer we get, we're going to see more and more separations of light on different planes in the face. Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. And then we get into all the scaredy cat business here. All right. Well, I'm pleased with how this is coming together. It's a fun It's a fun thing to try whatever random different ideas that we have in very different ways. I showed earlier at the top of the stream. I'll skip over to it again. Give me a second. So so this is our week this week. Monday was the music page. Tuesday is the Joshua Kremlin page, right? Very different format approaches, very different narrative voices, heavily text laden this one. And then we go to a different format, a different approach again, where it's again heavily text laden, but we're coming at it from more of a different angle with strange language and so on and so forth, right? And then we go into the Bella Rocks format, which is all so. My point is that just try different things, try different approaches, and see, because all these different ways that we use for telling a story affords us different voices to each of those stories. The different medium that you use, the different way you lay out your pages, explore that, play with that, even if it's just the thing that I think is really helpful for a lot of people that I don't think enough people give real credit to is sit down with a marker and a big white piece of paper, and then take said marker and just start drawing little squares, little doodles, and either write in a word, or if it's a scary faith dispense die, like, so the main guy's scared, right? Like, and then he walks over here to the store, and on the way to the store, he comes up against this dog, right? And so the dog's looking at him, and then the dog's, so then the dog starts barking, and then you've got it doesn't matter how good the drawings are. There's the dog barking at him. And what it's allowing you to do is to develop storytelling, and looking at the little different elements that you're going to look at along the way for what are the key things, what are the ideas that you have. Here's our guy goes walking, sees a dog starts barking. Those little moment by moment situations, as you're laying those out and roughing those out in whatever rudimentary way you want to make your marks, if you get a chance, look up. Picasso did drawings. He did what's called cartoons. Cartoons used to really refer to simplistic drawings as classical artists would work out their compositions. And so there is a whole series of cartoons that Picasso did when he was putting together his painting Guernica. And so all of those different elements, like the bombs falling, the horses getting scared, bullets firing, above the heads of civilians, all of the, building crumbling, all of these different facets of elements of that, little facets of that entire situation of the city of Guernica being bombed. And he tries to represent all of these little different bits in this large piece. But in order to do that, he did examinations of each of these different ideas. If you get a chance, take a look at it, because as Picasso was in his primitive style, which I know a lot of people don't like, but as he was in his primitive style, he was just trying to find ways to quickly lay down these lines, quickly lay down these shapes and these forms to represent these ideas. If you try doing that, this is just another way that maybe storytelling can be something that you start to explore more, anyone that watches this, by laying out your ideas, excuse me, as simply as that. Because over time, complexity develops the more and more that becomes routine. Complexity develops in our art the more and more we draw or paint or whatever the art is. Complexity develops over time, and sophistication develops over time the more and more that we do things. There's, and if you don't concern yourself about set rules, don't concern yourself about finished expectations, how the piece has to look at the end. If you concern yourself with what you really should do, in my opinion, and that is to develop these facilities in yourself, develop to tell stories, to put those different ideas together, and to get them across to your viewers of your pieces, your viewing audience. The more and more that we develop those, it's an undeniable truth that people are going to want to read whatever you're doing, or people are going to want to engage with it. That's the path that I hope I'm on to get to one day, where there's people are looking at it going, hey, nifty. And appreciate the things people are saying, but I think it's always an ongoing journey, right? I'm missing some things here. Oh no, Cat Pace says Picasso was the first indie comic artist. Well, one of them. In that sense, he was. In that sense, he was. But I mean, cartoons was a common practice. And that goes back to, if you look, Leonardo has cartoons, and this is 1600s, right? Michelangelo, not really one for, there's not a lot of records of drawings of Michelangelo other than some finished things. But a lot of those smaller finished things, while they look very well finished, those are cartoons. Those are him working up for what his intention was to be a larger piece. So there's quite a number of artists over time that would do, this building up of idea, this building up of an image. I think I'm trying to think of a sculptor did this incredibly large and ornate door, and I think it might have been Brunelleschi. And it has all these little squares inside of it that have all of these little scenes and sins or whatever else they're meant to represent, or the road to Damascus, whatever they are, and cartoons, right? All of those are little cartoons that were developed. So, yeah, my voice is giving out at this point. I'm going to go upstairs and get a lodgers or something from whatever this thing I had an allergic reaction to. It was just made a mess of my throat. So I'm going to sign off. I know I promised to read today's page, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. I will do it as a short, and I will post it. Yeah, and I hope that everybody has a good weekend. Try this out. Find yourself a dark piece of paper, a dark surface to write on. Even if you've got like a paint pen or a marker, and you find a magazine back cover that's a single, there's a space where of single value. There's so many, if you don't have a surface that you can immediately work on, I'm sure that you can find something in your house that you can give it a try, right? Or even if you don't, if you have some a black pencil or typical pencil and a white piece of paper, try drawing the face in reverse. And what I mean by that is all the places you would put these white marks, put dark marks, and leave the white spaces where the dark marks would go. From whatever object you're doing. Look at it from the opposite side, like a photo negative. See what that does. There's so many different things and so many different ways we can approach stuff. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna head out for now. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I'll be back. Oh, that's nice of you guys. Thanks very much. I'm sorry, my throat's just shot from whatever it was from lunch. So, Rachel, it's so nice that you say bye, Sal, and all wherever you are. Frank had an accident this week, and he fell out of a moving vehicle. It sounds very dramatic. So he hasn't been doing much by way of jumping in on other streams. But if anybody gets a chance to check out any of Frank's recent streams at Salazar Art Nation, just give him a thumbs up. Or give him a comment on something. Wish him well. Because I'm afraid he's not feeling well at all. And he's got a bunch of scrapes and bumps. So If anybody's able to do that, that'd be great. And otherwise, I hope to see you guys on your streams or your posts or whatever it is. I'll be back on Monday at 2 o'clock. Thanks very much, gang. Bye for now. Have a good weekend.